Just one defeat in 7 means Doncaster have replaced Barnsley as the Championship's dark horse for a place in the playoffs. Donny had won 3 of their last 5 on the road, so it was no surprise when they took the lead just before half-time. James Coppinger's shot through a crowd of players, only his 3rd league goal of the season. In what turned out to be a cracking South Yorkshire derby, Barnsley were denied an equaliser when Anderson de Silva's header hit the bar. Now, Billy Sharp's been quality since swapping Sheffield United for Doncaster, but he failed to add to his 15 goals this season with this effort. Barnsley have scored in 14 of their last 15 matches at Oakwell, but when Neil Sullivan rolled back the years to deny Ugo Colase, Mark Robins must have known it wasn't to be his day. Barnsley's playoff hopes are basically over, with their Yorkshire rivals still very much in with a shout. Going into this, Coventry hadn't won in 4 games, so playing at home against struggling Sheffield Wednesday seemed like the perfect opportunity for Chris Coleman's side to get their season back on track. Or did it? In the second half, the Sky Blues, who wore white as part of England's bid for the 2018 World Cup, almost went 1 down after this Leon Clark header. Kieran Westwood pushed it onto the post. Wednesday needed their first away win in 7 to move away from the relegation zone, and they took the lead thanks to Luke Varney. He marked his 200th league appearance in some style. With Stephen Wright out, Sheffield lad Richard Wood was Coventry captain for the day, and the old Wednesday skipper bagged the equaliser with 11 minutes remaining. 1-1 the final score.
Here's Burke, who's been impressive, the Scotsman, this season. And that's the first corner of the game. It goes to Cardiff City. McPhail there, just on the edge of the 6-yard line. Just Calvin Andrew maybe not close enough to him. Whittingham, it's not the best corner. Might work though, and it's in. It's in. It's an unlikely goal scorer, Gabor Gipesh. It was a scrappy goal, a scruffy sort of goal, but they all count. It was poor defending from Crystal Palace. They just didn't seem to be switched on. Not the best possible start for Paul Hart. And it comes from Darren Ambrose. And Marshall struggling off the crossbar. That hung in the air an awful long time. Marshall was beaten. And Crystal Palace so unlucky there not to get back on level terms. Cardiff's improvement in their recent results coincides as well with players coming back from injury, the likes of McPhail and Whittingham. Mark Hudson, a former Crystal Palace player, still absent. Joe Ledley, who's been a big loss. He could be back soon though, which could help Cardiff in their battle for... well, that's a good save by David Marshall. Reacted well, the goalkeeper. Again, the aerial threat. Darren Ambrose lashed at it, parried away by Marshall. Chopra does well, keeps the ball in play. Etuhu's in here. Etuhu could make it 2-0. Etuhu, good save by Speroni. Chopra, handball by Chopra. Wonderful opportunity for Kelvin Etuhu to give Cardiff City a 2-goal cushion before half-time. Lovely ball played forward by Chopra. Under pressure from Hill, and the goalkeeper Speroni stood firm. Here's Burke, early volley. Burke wasn't far away. Caught everyone napping. First time on the volley. Goalkeeper was worried. Good reaction by Chris Burke. Ambrose with the corner. Was that a penalty? The referee's given the free kick. Stern John felt strongly that he was being pulled there and hauled to the ground. Stern John is going there with Capaldi. He's got a case there. And the fourth official, Gavin Ward. And Paul Hart just to calm down. No wonder Paul Hart, I'm sure, incensed at that decision going against his side. Darren Ambrose will take again. McCarthy. In the air a long time, and it's there. Marshall couldn't get to the ball. He'll feel impeded, but Clint Hill has equalised for Crystal Palace. He threatened it in the first half. He's done it in the second half. Clint Hill, though, a simple header, got there ahead of Gavin Ray. I fall for Burke here. Burke! What a goal from Chris Burke! Took it well, had time, and volleyed it right-footed. It's run in the air by Quinn and volleyed home by Burke for his 9th goal of the season. Chested it down away from the defender Hills, and Chris Burke restores the lead for Cardiff City.
Here's Paul Green driving forward. Nice layoff by Porter. Green has got it, it's gone straight in! It's an absolute comedy goal conceded by Leicester City. Their fans can't believe it, neither can Derby's, I suspect. Porter played the return ball, and somehow it's an own goal. Chris Wheel has made an absolute hash of that. This is Powell making a rare sortie across the halfway line. Dyer, did he get a shove? He did. Barker this time nudging him. Dyer taking the free kick very quickly. Here's Waghorn. Great save by Bywater. Whistle had gone anyway, wouldn't have counted. Andy King thought maybe that he'd had an opportunity there to wipe out his own goal. Just offside there, and it wouldn't have counted. Here's King. There's room for a shot here. Brilliant save. That was wonderfully clawed away. Shot came in from Wellens, and it was wonderful goalkeeping by Bywater. Now Derby can perhaps spring their first attack at the other end. It's Chris Porter. He's got Robbie Savage ahead of him. Leacock is away on the far side. Dean Leacock's cross, wheel flaps, and Savage can't convert. Robbie Savage had a chance there. He's only got 1 goal in the last 28 games, but Wheel again looking nervy. Derby fans in decent voice after 3 draws in their last 3 games, and without a win in 5, 3 points would be most welcome. It's in the box, and shot on the turn is well held. Chris Porter swinging his boot there, and Chris Wheel well placed to make a fairly comfortable save in the end, but it'll make him feel a lot better, the goalkeeper. Away, Dean Leacock, who's been lively in this second half, comes forward for Derby County. Brown is back pedalling. Square ball to Michael Tongue. This is good play by Derby. Green. Oh, it would have been a lovely goal, but Chris Porter has just put it over. Excellent counter-attack by Derby, and if Porter had put that in the top corner, it would have been as brilliant as the goal that we do have was ridiculous. Leicester started today 17 points away from automatic promotion. It looks well nigh impossible for them to get that route. Oakley driving it in, it's dangerous, and it's flicked away, and the follow-up volley is just over the bar. Oakley volleyed it across field, it just popped up. As the ball comes out to Oakley, he's driven it in fiercely. They couldn't clear it, and when they did, just over the crossbar. Here's N'Gessan for Leicester, looking to claim something from this game. It's a very, very good run by the Frenchman. Cross up towards the back stick, and it's come off a Derby defender, McKevely, I think. And it'll be a corner kick to Leicester in front of their fans. The cross was nicely chipped. Howard was arriving behind McKevely, had to make the intervention. Gallagher will take the corner. There's the header. Oh, and flicked straight into the goalkeeper's arms by Michael Morrison. Best opportunity Leicester have had to equalise. Morrison poaching inside the 6-yard box, but it stays 1-0 Derby. Chris Powell losing out. He's got to backtrack now. I don't think he'll catch Dean Leacock, or maybe he will. He's done very well there, to be fair. 5 times capped England international. This is Hulse. Now there's space on the near side here. It's Pearson. It's blocked. He'll get a second chance. And headed over. Great opportunity. Rob Hulse at the back stick. Couldn't make it count. Excellent cross by Pearson at the second attempt. Well, they've left him free there, Hulse, and he'll be disappointed.
It's been a promising first week in the hot seat for Keith Millen at Bristol City. A draw with Newcastle was followed by a 5-3 midweek win over Barnsley. And the Robins started well at bottom of the table Peterborough. Their keeper Joe Lewis was in fine form early on, denying Bradley Orr. The announcement that Jim Gannon won't stay on as manager at the end of the season has just added to the atmosphere of uncertainty at London Road. Craig Mackay-Smith did go close for the home team though, Dean Gherkin with the save. Millen made a change in the second half, bringing on David Clarkson, and it seems the new boss can do no wrong at the moment. His sub scored from a Paul Hartley corner just 10 minutes after coming on. Posh went for a late equaliser and would have got it had it not been for City defender Liam Fontaine, who twice denied Lee Frecklington. So a satisfying end to a memorable week for Millen. Plymouth were going for a third win in 4 and made the best start in Devon. Bradley Wright-Phillips was denied by Matthew Gilks and the arm of Alex Baptiste. Blackpool have lost their last 3 away games but almost took the lead through Charlie Adam. The Scottish midfielder has been one of Ian Holloway's best players this season, and here he is showing why. Adam made the most of a clever pass from sub Stephen Dobby. As well as Dobby, Villa loanee Barry Bannon also came on in the second half. Great work from him and Adam allowed Dobby to seal the win with a cool finish. So a happy return to home park for Ollie. When these two met earlier in the season, QPR thrashed Preston 4-0. Since then, both clubs have changed their manager. North End boss Darren Ferguson's been delighted with the form of John Parkin recently, and the big centre-forward wasn't far away from putting his team in front. Both sides had their chances in a lively first half, with the breakthrough coming just before the interval. Billy Jones put Preston in front. After half-time, they were given the chance to double their lead. Kasper Gorks fouled Parkin in the area. Up stepped Callum Davidson, no problem, 2-0. Before the match, only a couple of points separated these two in the league table. It took Rangers less than a minute to pull a goal back. Adel Tarabt setting up Peter Ramage. The home team should have restored their 2-goal advantage, but Neil Mellor failed to get the better of the keeper. Warnock's Rangers had drawn 3 of their previous 4 matches, and midway into the second half, they had the chance to go level in this one. Again, Tarabt was involved, Tamas Priskin with the finish. And Tarabt wasn't done yet either. Again, he ran at the Preston defence, this time finding Rowan Vine. The QPR sub couldn't quite turn a dramatic draw into a memorable win. Since taking over at the end of last year, Brian McDermott has changed Reading from being a team that could go down into outsiders for the playoffs. After 9 wins in their last 11 games, next came second in the table West Brom. The Royals rose to the challenge. They were in front after only 6 minutes. Joby McAnuff and Jimmy Kebe were denied, but there weren't enough players at the back to stop Gylfi Sigurdsson scoring his 5th goal in 5 games. West Brom are currently the joint leading scorers in England, but they were up against Adam Federici. He was in great form here, denying James Morrison. After the break, the Baggies felt they should have had a penalty. Andy Griffin perhaps a little lucky to get away with dragging down Jerome Thomas. Roberto Di Matteo's men battled on and they grabbed an equaliser 4 minutes from time. Jonas Olsson unlucky with that header, but Gabriel Tamas made no mistake as he made it 1-1. Despite the draw, Reading's recovery continues. With 33 league draws between them, the odds were definitely on a point apiece when Swansea hosted Ipswich. Both teams were looking to bounce back from midweek defeats, in particular Paulo Sousa's men, who were hammered 5-1 by Blackpool, conceding more goals in that match than in their previous 8. The Swans haven't exactly been clinical in front of goal this season. Here, another example. as Nathan Dyer hit the post when it was perhaps easier to score. In a match low on quality, the best chance Ipswich had fell to their in-form striker, but the angle was too tight for Daryl Murphy to catch out Doris de Vries. Shefki Kucci could have won it late on. He could only direct Mark Gower's corner wide though. It's now 5 matches without a win for Sousa and Swansea, whose playoff place is far from secure. If Gordon Strachan's Middlesbrough are to reach the playoffs, they'll need to improve on an away record that's seen them win just once in their last 9. At home, Watford had the better start thanks to this Tom Cleverley free kick. Malky Mackay's side certainly weren't playing like a team just one place above the relegation zone, and they took the lead thanks to that stunning volley from John Eustace, his 4th league goal of the season. Leroy Lita came on as a sub in the second half, and it didn't take him long to make an impact. Julio Arca did well to get the cross in, Lita with the easy opportunity. The former England under-21 star doesn't always start under Strachan, but in this game he almost gave Borough the lead. And talking of missed chances, Watford favourite Heider Helgeson failed to secure all 3 points for his team when he shot wide from a Cleverley cross. The home side is still outside of the drop zone. Strachan really needed a win.
Six weeks ago, Geraint Williams and his Leyton Orient team were looking up the table. Relegation a receding threat. But defeat at Brentford's taken the O's record to just 1 win in 10. Lewis Graben's debut goal on loan from Millwall enough for the Bees to leave their fellow Londoners too close to the bottom 4 for comfort. Brentford move into the top half. It's a dozen games since they lost at home, and but for Jamie Jones, Charlie McDonald would have made this win more comprehensive.
So much for that with Dean Jinks. Back-to-back 3-0 home victories now for Brighton, and 3 out of 4 on home soil following this win over struggling Tranmere. Glenn Murray's 7th-minute opener set the Seagulls on their way. Prior to their recent revival, Albion had gone 9 league matches without a home win. But once Andrew Crofts doubled the advantage on the half hour, this was destined to be another afternoon of home comfort. But not so comfortable for Inigo Calderon, who was scythed down by Tranmere debutant Andy Robinson, the red card inevitable. And another debutant, Ashley Barnes, left his mark on proceedings too. The Plymouth loanee finished off the scoring 9 minutes from time. Brighton's relegation worries a distant memory now. Gus Poyet's appointment back in November has proved to be the right move.
Buoyed by Tuesday's win over Walsall, their first since the turn of the year, Southend got off to a flyer in Bristol, especially Scott Vernon, whose flamboyant tumble over Mikael Anderson had the keeper facing a spot kick just 5 minutes in. Vernon made the penalty count. And with Rovers still reeling, Scott Spencer got the better of Steve Elliott to crack in a second. But if that defending was unconvincing, then Pat Baldwin's dithering at the other end was plain disastrous. Joe Kufor capitalised for his 12th of the season. And with 11 minutes of the half to go, the home side was back in business. By the break, Rovers were level. Chris Lyons upended this time. And Southend back to square one, as from the spot, Jeff Hughes got his aim just right. 7 minutes after half-time, the strugglers' day took another turn for the worse. Kufor releasing Hughes to give the Pirates the lead for the first time. Steve Tilson's men refused to surrender meekly. Vernon somehow squeezed home a header to have them back on terms again, 3-3. With 25 minutes to go, though, yet another twist. Frank Musa's clash with Byron Anthony looked fairly innocuous from this angle, but obviously worse from the referee's view. The Southend midfielder shown a straight red. Even so, the 10 men were set for a draw until deep into stoppage time, when Stuart Campbell's cross was diverted into his own net by Anthony Grant, giving Rovers the last laugh. Colchester stay in the hunt for a playoff place, but were seething after Wickham denied them a win in hotly disputed style. The home side took the lead just before the hour, courtesy of 2 terrific touches from Ian Henderson. Another blow to Wycombe's hopes of mounting a survival bid, inflicted by a club they consider their fiercest foes. That rivalry, stemming from a cup tie in the 80s and fuelled by several bitter encounters since, now has a new twist. Even Gareth Ainsworth admitted Wanderers' stoppage time equaliser went in off his hand, albeit, he said, accidentally. That won't cut much ice with a Colchester side fighting hard for promotion. The Garadona goal could cost the Essex club dear in the final reckoning, and they couldn't believe the officials missed it.
Exeter were League One's big movers as victory over Walsall took them clear of the drop zone. Matthew Taylor's early header set the tone for the Grecians as they extended their unbeaten run to 5. It looked like a comfortable afternoon for the home side when Barry Corr went to ground. Referee Trevor Kettle saw a foul. Jamie Vincent's look of utter disbelief said it all. And Ryan Harley nonchalantly put the penalty straight down the middle, but just about got away with it. The visitors pulled one back on 62 minutes. Julian Gray with his first in Walsall colours, but it wasn't enough. Exeter will hope they can keep this momentum going over the remainder of the season. The Dons might have missed the playoff boat, but they kept their slim hopes alive with a useful point at Priestfield, where Gillingham have proved hard to beat. The visitors edged in front after 18 minutes when David McCracken opened his account for the season. That advantage didn't last long though. Barely 2 minutes later, Adam Miller replied for the home side with his first goal since opening day. Having been booked 9 minutes earlier, Dennis Ollie should have thought better of this reckless lunge on Dean Lewington shortly before the interval. It left the Gills facing just over half the match with a numerical disadvantage. And the Dons punished them almost immediately. Jermaine Easter with his 19th of the season, 2 minutes into first half stoppage time. But the 10 men still came out of this one with something, thanks to some individual brilliance from Andy Barcham. Gillingham now unbeaten in 4, but too many draws still leaves them dangerously close to the trap door. Swindon are making a habit of 1-0 away wins. This was their third in a row, and it's tough to know who enjoyed it most. Robins boss Danny Wilson against his former side, or goalscorer Charlie Austin, whose Cinderella debut season in league football goes on and on. This was his 16th goal of the campaign. Hartlepool manager Chris Turner has described his side as the division's nearly men, and typically they nearly levelled when James Brown rattled the bar. But Hartlepool are now nearly in the relegation zone too.
A win for Charlton at the Gow Farm would have heaped even more pressure on Leeds. But Huddersfield have promotion aspirations of their own, and Neil Trotman's header which clipped the bar was a close shave for the Addicts. Huddersfield manager Lee Clark was far from impressed with his team overall, saying their display was average at best. Even so, Jordan Rhodes' header was well taken, as you'd expect from a man who's now scored 20 this season. It was what happened after that which really irritated Clark. Charlton level just 5 minutes later thanks to a thunderous volley from Kyle Reid to clinch what their boss Phil Parkinson deemed a pleasing point.
It's promotion on the agenda these days at the New Den. Chris Hackett's 27th minute free kick bamboozled Stockport's Danny Swales and the rout was on. The Lions are rampant at the moment, and no one more so than Steve Morrison. This back post header from a ridiculous angle was his 7th goal in his last 5 appearances. And when Danny Schofield tortured keeper Owen Fon-Williams before finishing off from another tight angle just before the break, Millwall's 6th win from their last 7 was a formality. Schofield forced another own goal, Paul Huntington the victim this time, Stockport matching their heaviest defeat of the season, 4-0 against Millwall back in October. But their nightmare wasn't quite over. Number 5 arrived on 69 minutes, Spurs loanee Jonathan Obika with his first as a Lion. Stockport surely doomed, Millwall turning up the heat on Leeds in the battle for automatic promotion.
Howson. Becchio. Snodgrass, pursued by Smith, just gets away from the teenager. Beckford. It's Jermaine Beckford, it took a touch there off Doherty. Beckford suddenly had a bit of time and space there. There's a problem here. Becchio who's down. It's a high foot, and it's straight into the face of Becchio from Michael Nelson. Luciano Becchio departs on a stretcher. We can only hope the injury isn't as serious as it might at first have appeared. Leeds legend Eddie Gray in the press box at Carrow Road this afternoon, giving his opinions on the match to radio listeners back in Yorkshire. Naylor. Holt. Good advantage played by Lee Probert there. Free kick taken quickly. Lappin. Away by Collins. Norwich pressing hard in the final moments of this first half. It's Grant Holt! First time shots from the Norwich captain. And I would think there were plenty of a Norwich persuasion who were fancying that this might hit the back of the net. Hughes loses it. Picked up by Russell. This is Houlihan. He's got Elliott ahead of him. Where's Houlihan? That's a lovely ball through to Stephen Elliott. Chance for Norwich. He was off balance when he struck it. Terrific ball through here from the Republic of Ireland international. This is Kilkenny. In towards Beckford. Nelson with the header. Snodgrass! Robert Snodgrass flashing the shot across goal. Are we going to get a late winner? Nice header from Holt. Here's Hughes. Bit of space in front of him. Martin's in the middle. Lappin joining him. It's towards Martin! Goal number 21 of the season for Chris Martin. And is that a goal that has virtually secured promotion and the League One title for Norwich City? And it's the substitute Stephen Hughes who rampaged forward. And how about this for a cross? Chris Martin guiding his header right across the front of Shane Higgs. And Norwich City go in front as we approach stoppage time at Carrow Road. It's a huge, huge goal for the Canaries. Change for Leeds. Hughes will come off. And on will come a forward, Tresor Kandol. Now we've got a confrontation on the pitch here. Kandol is being led away. And Tresor Kandol has been sent off for Leeds United. Now what happened here? A little bit of pushing. Lee Probert right on the scene, and it's a red card. Time is against Leeds United. Bradley Johnson. Is there time for the 10 men of Leeds to get an equaliser? Drury with the clearance. Norwich City have won this top-of-the-table League One encounter, and that is surely the Canaries promoted. Norwich City 1, Leeds United 0.
Burton Albion have won their last 3 away games, so this always looked likely to be a tricky afternoon for Barnet. Sure enough, 18 minutes in, Greg Pearson's third in as many matches had the Midlands club in front. But the Bees have a stubborn streak at home. They're 10 draws on their own turf, the most in League Two, the latest secured just before half-time. After Paul Furlong's effort was nodded off the line, Mark Hughes was the man in just the right place. Bournemouth finally settled their outstanding £300,000 tax liability this week and had their strict transfer embargo lifted. There was more good news for the Cherries, Liam Feeney's 5th goal of the season. Accrington Stanley had been working hard on their set plays, always impressive to come up with something unexpected. Give John Miles credit, nobody saw that coming. And there was a touch of slapstick too about the goal, which made the point safe for Eddie Howe's promotion chasers. Feeney's shot had Ian Dunbavin scrabbling about. For Brett Pitman to tap in surely the easiest of his 21 goals this season. Bournemouth back into the automatic promotion places. Peter Taylor's still intent on stacking up the points for Bradford, even though they now look safe in mid-table. Against Dagenham and Redbridge, James Hansen's header was an excellent start, just 2 minutes on the clock. The lanky striker's enjoying a very promising first full season in league football. His 13th of a campaign arrived midway through the second half. Robbie Threlfall's precision free kick made it relatively easy. But the Daggers still believe they can sneak into the top 7, and in the space of the next 8 minutes, Bradford's 2-goal advantage disappeared. When John Nurse found a yard to fire into the roof of the net, the home side began to crumble. On the counter-attack, Dagenham and Redbridge were soon on the charge again. Josh Scott used his strength to good effect and got everything right except the finish. Bradford's reprieve was short-lived. When Danny Green's free kick was met firmly by Nurse, Steve Williams' instinctive attempt to clear only made matters worse. The score's level with 15 minutes to go, and the Essex club on the up. Now Bradford pulled themselves together and re-established their lead as Hansen's header freed Ryan Kendall to net his first senior goal with a flourish. In 82 minutes, the Daggers had conceded as many goals as they'd shipped in their previous 6 matches. Not good, and yet they still escaped with a draw, rescued by Luke Oliver's spectacular own goal as the game moved into added time. Great entertainment from first to last. Bury have now gone 7 games without a win. Their slump from automatic promotion contenders to a team struggling to hold a playoff place, summed up by Tom Elliott's extraordinary miss. This was the Shakers' 9th match without a goal from open play, and against an Aldershot team whose own hopes of a top 7 finish are rising by the week. When Marvin Morgan was pulled back by Ryan Cresswell, the Shots had their chance to take the lead. Wayne Brown did his best, but Scott Donnelly couldn't be denied. Despite their dismal recent form, Bury's last home league defeat was way back in September. After Donnelly punished Ben Futcher's mistake, that 14-game run seemed sure to come to an end. There was a ray of hope for the home side when Stephen Dawson raced clear. Mikhail Jaimez Ruiz saw red for his challenge, and sub-keeper Jamie Young's first job was to collect Andy Bishop's penalty from the net. Not enough for Bury, though, as the Shots joined them in the playoff positions.
Chesterfield's promotion pushers stalled and Hereford took advantage to claim only their 3rd away win of the season. The home side's Phil Picken gave them a hand by dragging down Mark Pugh to concede a penalty early in the second half, dispatched by Birmingham loanee Jake Jervis on his full league debut. More tentative defending allowed the Bulls to charge into an unassailable lead just past the hour. Mark Pugh with his 9th of the campaign. But Hereford were doing some proverbial nail-chewing late on after Lewis Young brought down Adam Rundle for the game's 2nd spot kick. Barry Conlon kept the coolest head at Saltergate with a confident chip to revive Chesterfield's hopes. And the Irishman came desperately close to rescuing a point for his side, only to be denied by Adam Bartlett's amazing goal-line clearance. Back-to-back wins give Hereford breathing room, but it's just 1 point out of the last 12 for slumping Chesterfield. Northampton's run of 5 straight wins was terminated by a Lincoln side in decent form themselves. A 6-match unbeaten run has erased relegation fears, and their rediscovered self-belief was perfectly captured by a delightful free kick from Matthew Saunders after 54 minutes. That's 3 in 3 from the Fulham loanee. The Cobblers slip out of the playoff places, but have still only lost twice since early December. No great surprise that they were level 6 minutes from time, courtesy of Middlesbrough lone player John Johnson. No one's ever thrilled with a draw, but this the kind of result which will convince both sides that they're still heading in the right direction.
2 defeats in a week had left Macclesfield nervous. Like fellow strugglers Cheltenham, they were feeling uneasy about Grimsby's recent revival. So Ashley Eastham's trip on Ben Wright seemed to be just what they wanted, only for Lee Bow to be foiled from the spot. A fantastic stop from Cheltenham's Scott Brown. But the keeper finished the match on a low note as Macclesfield put their relegation anxieties to bed. Brown spilling the ball at Wright's feet to keep all the points at Moss Rose.
Morecambe boss Sammy McIlroy virtually wrote off his side's playoff chances after last week's loss to Northampton. He might want to reassess that after Paul Mullin set the Shrimpers on their way against Torquay. The Gulls are still in deep trouble but did themselves no favours here. They won a penalty almost immediately afterwards when Scott Rendell was pulled back by Barry Roach. But the Morecambe keeper atoned by repelling Nicky Rowe's spot kick. And that's how it stayed until stoppage time, when Craig Stanley made it safe with his first goal since December. And when McIlroy takes a look at the table, he'll see that Morecambe's promotion prospects are still very much alive.
More than 9,000 at Meadow Lane for this key promotion clash. The majority of the bumper crowd cursing their side's luck as Luke Rogers rattled the post for Notts County. It was the club's best league turnout since the opening day, and there were more gasps of disbelief as Lee Hughes also struck the woodwork. Only goal difference separated the sides at kick-off, and Rotherham thought they'd be finishing the match above their opponents when Marcus Marshall struck early in the second half. In the centre, Adam Lafondra denied getting a touch, but the linesman disagreed, keeping the home side on course for their 7th clean sheet in 8 outings. A statistic that became all the more relevant in stoppage time as County went route one and Hughes' flick put Rogers clear to settle the match. The striker into double figures for the season, and pleased the finish would overshadow an otherwise forgettable display.
A spicy local derby at Vale Park, where the home side's recent revival was brought to a juddering halt. A chance for Brighton lone player Craig Davis, the nearest Port Vale came to getting on the scoreboard. Cometh the hour, a moment of controversy. Clayton Donaldson down in the box, but did Gareth Owen get the ball first? Vale players certainly thought so. Referee Chris Sarginson had a different interpretation. Crew Sean Miller settled the argument with his 6th goal of the season. Local bragging rights heading back across the Cheshire border. Rochdale's seemingly endless wait for promotion is surely almost over. They tore Grimsby to shreds, Joe Thompson getting the party started with a towering header after 17 minutes. Dale are the division's top scorers, thanks mainly to Chris O'Grady and Chris Dagnall, and this was Dagnall's day. His first goal arrived on 20 minutes. And the deadly duo combined to lethal effect 4 minutes before the break, O'Grady making it easy for Dagnall to secure his 19th of the season. Battling Grimsby gave their large contingent of travelling fans something to celebrate 2 minutes later. Leicester loanee Ashley Chambers with his 2nd in as many matches. But in the final minute, Dagnall wrapped up his hat-trick to join his strike partner on 20 goals for the season. And the way Rochdale are playing, there's probably plenty more still to come. The champagne's on ice now at Spotland. Quite a result for Darlington caretaker boss Craig Liddell, as the league's bottom side completed an unlikely double over out-of-form Shrewsbury. But outgoing boss Steve Staunton at least left them a gem in Tig Purcell. This was the young Irishman's 8th goal in 15 appearances. Goodness knows what's happened to the Shrews. 4 defeats in a row now and no goals to show for it. Not that Darlow care. More Diop's late tap-in, his first goal in English football, sealed it 3 minutes from time. Darlington are going down smiling.